Hello and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Be prepared to be blown away, guys. Be prepared to be blown away. Okay, so I was on X recently and I saw this interview with Leeman Baird, okay? One of the actual co-founders of Hedera. And this interview gives you a real big insight into what Hedera are trying to do, their plans for the future, how they intend to get mass adoption. And I'll be honest with you, it's an absolutely amazing interview. It really is. And it did confirm some things in my mind, some things that I've been telling you guys on my channel for a long time now. It did just give me that confirmation that these types of things of the way I'm thinking is definitely the way it's going in the future. So that was definitely nice and reassuring to know. But it's just great to hear such a great mind speak about the space. It really is. And the type of knowledge that he's given here it's really, really valuable. So I'm not going to play the interview as always because of copyright purposes, but I just want to give the respect due to King Solomon, who did the interview, and it was on behalf of Generation Infinity as well. So big shout out to those guys and thank you for this interview because it was very, very appreciated. And I'm going to just give you some of the points that they've made and just expand on those points, right? So we have here Leeman Baird, and the first thing he's talking about is tokenization, okay? And tokenization, as you know, is something that I've been speaking on this channel for so long now. It really is. It's something that I've been trying to tell you guys over and over again how big a deal tokenization is and how big of a deal it will be in the future. And Leeman Baird agrees with this. So this is where I got my confirmation in regards to the way I think about tokenization. So basically, just in a nutshell, one of the things that he actually said is everything of value is going to be tokenized. That's exactly what I've believed, right? He's talking about how things are being tokenized right now. How, for example, someone has tokenized a house and then issued the ownership via the tokens, right? So they tokenize a house, they give tokens out, and the tokens represent an ownership fraction of the property, right? We already know this is something that's being looked into right now, something that's being done. Diamonds are being tokenized. I've recently done a video about how you can actually tokenize handbags, things like that, so you can check the legitimacy of these products and things like that for like counterfeit goods and stuff like that. Tokenization is going to be massive. He also mentioned how people were like tokenizing certain things and then using that tokenized asset as collateral to get a loan or something like that, right? So this is the kind of thing that we're looking at here, guys. This is the kind of way that we'll be able to do in the future with tokenization. It's the kind of things that will make accessible to us. And as I said before, man, that is going to be huge. Tokenization is going to be huge in the future, and it will be a very common thing. It will be very normal, just like the internet is now. Obviously, when the internet first came in, it was very much a thing of getting our heads around it and that kind of thing. But now it's a part of our day-to-day lives, right? Like, who doesn't have access to the internet now, right? You're talking more third world countries and that kind of thing, right? Generally speaking, everyone has access to the internet now, right? Everybody has a mobile phone. So tokenization, he was saying that is going to be something that's going to be huge for Hedera. I completely agree. The companies that I have seen who've talked about tokenization, they've all talked about wanting to work on Hedera, and they're going to Hedera because they feel like it's the best network. That's simply the way it's been put. Like, in terms of the company who was doing the diamond tokenization, they actually started on Ethereum and then they moved over to Hedera. They migrated to Hedera, and the reason why they said is that Hedera is just simply the better network, right? It's cheaper transactions, so they're more predictable as well. They don't really fluctuate or anything like that. It's a much faster network, right? So it can scale better. You know, just the many reasons that we all know as to why Hedera is just superior. And so I do think there will be many more companies coming to Hedera to tokenize assets and things of that nature on the network. I really do think there'll be many more things to come. So yeah, tokenization was a big thing that he mentioned. Now, another thing that he spoke about was the council members, right? So I did a video on this not too long ago where we was talking about the council members and how they have their run. Now, I did say in that video, I wasn't sure how long it works in terms of them having their term. So I've been told now it's a 3-year term, but my thing was that, do they have a chance to extend that? That wasn't specifically addressed, but I'm assuming once the 3-year term's up, it is up. However, one of the things that I did say about this is it opens the doors for new people to come to the governing council, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing because they could get bigger and better partnerships potentially. So that's not always a bad thing because you don't know who could be the next person to take a seat on the governing council, right? And this is where it did get exciting. Leeman Baird said there are new council members coming soon. And he actually said, these are names we've heard of, and he was excited to tell us, but he can't at the moment. So obviously, that's one of those things where they have to wait till it's officially announced, that kind of thing. I completely understand. However, the way he sounded when he was saying this, he seemed like he knew this was a big deal. So I'm looking forward to seeing who these new council members are. I really am. I'm really looking forward to seeing who these council members could be. So that for me was really exciting, really, really exciting. And this was another thing because I remember when I did a video about the council members of Hedera, and this was really early in my channel. And someone commented saying, these guys are council members. It doesn't really mean anything for HBAR. And I sent a message back and I says, yeah, I get what you're saying, because I said it like there was like partnerships basically. He's saying that, no, they're not partnerships. They're just part of the governing council, right? And I messaged back saying, look, I do understand what you're saying. Maybe I've not used the right term of phrase. I understand that. But if these guys are on the governing council, they're on the governing council because they obviously believe in Hedera and want it to do well, right? Like, wouldn't that make sense? You wouldn't just be on the governing council for no reason, or if you didn't want to use Hedera, right? Why would you bother being on the council, right? That wouldn't really make sense. And so this is what Leeman Baird confirmed for me again. So he just gave me that reassurance that I'm on the right line when I say this. He's saying, yes, all the council members are using Hedera in some way, shape or form, or want to use it in the future. Like, the reason why they are part of the governing council is because they want the network to do well and they want to utilize the network. So for the people who look at this and think, oh, well, the council members don't really mean anything, they're not actual partnerships. Well, yeah, okay, maybe we can't say they're actual partnerships, but technically speaking, they kind of are, right? Like, we're being kind of pedantic when we're talking like that, right? Because they wouldn't be a part of the governing council if they didn't believe in what Hedera can do and if they didn't want to see the network succeed, right? They're putting their efforts in and they're putting their names on the line being associated with Hedera to help it succeed because they want it to do well and they want it to be a network they can use themselves. So when you do look at all these brands that are with Hedera, just understand that these companies are rooting and helping Hedera to succeed, right? So they effectively are like partnerships realistically when you look at it from that sense. So yes, they all have nodes, for example, so they're all running a node on the network, that kind of thing, which again I reiterated in a previous video. And yeah, they all want to use the network in some way, shape or form. So I look forward definitely to seeing who those new council members are. Have any of you guys got any ideas of who these could be? Have you heard any kind of rumors or anything like that? Let me know, because I've not heard anything specifically, but if you've got any kind of idea or you've got any kind of guesses if you think it could be, who would make sense to be, I'd definitely be interested to hear that, so let me know. Okay, and the last thing that we got to, Leeman Baird was asked how to make crypto mass adopted, okay? And Leeman Baird, he reeled off a few things here, but let's get to like the main points. The very first thing he said was regulatory clarity, which I completely agree. We can't really go anywhere mainstream wise until we've got regulatory clarity, because first and foremost, the institutions are not going to get involved while there's no legal clarity. The institutions are going to step back and wait for that whole stuff to get sorted out, because they don't want to get caught in lawsuits or get into any kind of issues. Like, we've already seen how the SEC are very sue happy at the moment, right? Like, going after all these crypto companies and whatnot. So institutions are not going to want to touch this kind of thing, especially as well with like people doing the rug pulls and stuff like that, right? They're going to want the regulatory clarity where they know it's a safe space and where they know that they're not going to have any kind of legal recourse if they get involved with a crypto that the SEC have got their targets on, right? So regulatory clarity, I would say, it's the most important thing. I agree. I understand why he said that first. It's a massive hurdle that we need to overcome before we can really start looking at getting mass adoption. The next thing he said was easily accessible, to a point of him actually saying it being invisible at times. And again, this is stuff that I've said to you guys, right? Like, when you think about the internet in this day and age now, we can do things on the internet that we don't even really realize is being done via the internet, right? Like, even for example, when you go to a shop and you're using like your card, like the card machine is being connected via the internet, right? It's all signal based, right? So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that you don't really know, or you might know, but you just don't really pay that kind of attention, right? It's not something that you're really thinking about. And so this is when we talk about making it more accessible, right? And this is where one of the big things that I was saying in a previous video that I did about Hedera was where they was looking at putting a crypto custody wallet on phones for Hedera, powered by Hedera. And I was saying how big that is, because anyone who buys a phone now, if that wallet's just standardly on there, the average person now has access to crypto via Hedera. So that would be huge for adoption, right? And that's where it's kind of like invisible, because to them it's just an app there, and it's like, oh hey, if you want to just use something via this app, you can just pay it through this app, just pay the money. And what it could be for them is they pay it in fiat. The fiat converts into HBAR, for example, and then it gets converted into whatever else and gets paid for some kind of product, right? That's just like a real rough example off the top of my head, so it's a bit sketchy, but you get the gist, right? Like using the app, they just pay for something. They don't really understand that it's all being converted into crypto and that kind of stuff. And then the app pays for the product for them, that kind of thing, right? That's the kind of stuff that's being done behind the scenes, right? They're not really like paying attention to how that's being done. They're just using the app, and then next thing they know, the product has been purchased, right? So they're not knowing all the things that's happening behind all that to actually make all that work, right? That's what he means when he talks about being invisible at times. And I agree. For things to be at a mass adoption scale, it has to be a thing where people who don't necessarily understand it can still use it, right? That's what you want on a mass adoption scale, because that's how the average Joes who don't really understand crypto can still be involved, right? They don't feel like they have to know exactly how it all works to still be involved in this, right? So that's where I talk about it being invisible, and I agree with that completely. Other things he's mentioned is decentralized identification, again, just making things a bit more simplified, and also you having the control of your own identification, that kind of thing. I agree completely. That will definitely help, because that's the kind of thing that people are going to want in this day and age. They're going to want to have control over their own identification, especially when you hear these days how ID can be used. And, you know, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying where they talk about like, if like there's something that's released and it's free, then you're the product, basically, because if they're not selling it to you, they're selling your information, right? So in some way, shape or form, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. They're using whatever information you've got, your data, to basically to shop to people. So I completely understand that, and I think that's a great point. And then DREC, which is knowing that your keys can be recovered. I think that's a huge thing as well, because if you just think in this day and age, one of the scary things with crypto is if you lose your keys, they're gone, right? Like if you happen to have a wallet and it has, you know, all of your crypto on there, and then you just lost the keys for whatever reason, it's game over, right? So being in a position where you know if you lose it, you can somehow retrieve it, I think that will help, because if people get burnt in that kind of way, that's the kind of thing that could put them off wanting to be in crypto altogether, right? Because it's painful. Like if you think back to Bitcoin, right? I don't know if you've ever heard this story, but there was a guy who had like X amount of Bitcoin on a hard drive. Like it was a lot, and he would have been a millionaire once Bitcoin had got to a certain price, right? But the hard drive was old, right? And he'd actually chucked it out, not knowing that Bitcoin was going to be something huge in the future, right? So he finds out that Bitcoin's price is completely, you know, exponentially rising, and suddenly he realizes, oh my God, like I've got however much Bitcoin stored somewhere, and it was on a hard drive that had gone to like, you know, like a landfill basically, like, and he went to the landfill saying, hey, I have an old computer and it had something on there like, you know, very valuable to me, and I want to see if I can find it. The guy said, yeah, like if you want to look around and see if you can find it, no problem. Of course he never found it, right? Like he's gone to literally a land waste where he's going to have like tons of just waste just all piled up over each other. But he tried numerous times to try and find it. And that's him missing out on potentially being a multi-millionaire. Do you see what I mean? So it's that kind of stuff that's going to probably burn people and make them think they don't want to get involved in crypto, if it's that easy to kind of miss out on your chance and just lose everything that you've put money into, because these are real money that you're using to buy crypto, right? Like you're putting your hard-earned money into this, so you don't really want to be in a position where you feel like you could just lose it all that easily. So those were the points that he was making in regards to helping with mass adoption. All absolutely great points there. I absolutely agree with everything he said. And as I say, that's pretty much the main points of the interview. thought it was really great. I really enjoyed it. Oh, just one other thing I will just say, this is like really more of a sidebar. It's not really relevant in terms of Hedera, but one thing that I really liked, they asked him like, do you look at other networks? Like, is there any other networks that you like the look of or anything like that? And he said, yeah, he's like, there are other networks that I do look at and appreciate, but he didn't mention any specific names. But one thing he said I really respected, he said, I try not to ever talk down on other networks or anything like that, because we're so early and there's still so much room for everybody to get a piece of the pie. So it was like, why try and put other networks down? And I have to say, I really respected that, because I have noticed like the companies that I see who are like very like respectful like that and transparent and just very down to earth, not trying to like make out their blockchains the best, their networks the best, and just kind of understanding, hey, we're all here early. We're all trying to move the space forward. Like I've seen it with Ripple as well, with XRP. Like I've seen the same thing. They're not trying to knock other networks, but I've noticed people like Vitalik Buterin who are they're very dismissive of other networks. Like I've seen Vitalik try and put XRP down. I've also seen Charles Hoskins like being very disrespectful to other networks, and it's like, you guys should all be championing each other right now. Like you guys are the leaders in this space. And I really feel like that's the kind of mentality you should have, rather than trying to like make out that your chain's the best and, just always knocking other chains and trying to feel like you guys are superior. Like I really just respected that. So that's just a quick sidebar as well. But overall, this interview is absolutely amazing. If you guys want to see it, you can look on the HBAR Foundation's X profile. They've actually got it retweeted on there. I think it's Genfinity as well if you want to see. I think it's at GEN Infinity. So if you want to have a look in their profile, it should be on there too. But guys, feel free to have a look, because it is an incredible interview. And I saw this, and again, I'm just like, man, he gets it. Like he completely is saying all the things that I thought. Well, I'm saying he gets it, like he's not the mastermind here. Like he's definitely the mastermind, but he just gave me reaffirmations and gave me that sense of, okay, I'm definitely right when I'm thinking about the things that I expect that Hedera can do and where the future's just heading with certain things like tokenization and stuff like that. So it was really reassuring to hear him say these things and just give me that kind of confirmation of, okay, yeah, my head's on the right path here. Like I'm not kind of really over exaggerating where I'm thinking some of this stuff is going in the future. And as I've said before, like I really think you've got a great mind here with Leeman Baird, one of the founders being at the helm of Hedera. I think he is a great mind in the space, and with him working with what he's doing, I feel very confident with Hedera's future. So to me, a lot of stuff to look forward to, guys. I can only see this being great. Some of the things that he's mentioned was, amazing. And you've seen my catalog. If you haven't, go and check it out. Go and have a look. There's plenty of things to be excited about with Hedera. So this just gave me even more confidence and excitement for Hedera, to be honest, and HBAR. So I'll leave it there, but as I say, guys, if you want to have a look, check it out. So what do you guys think from the stuff that I've said? Does this make you feel good for HBAR and Hedera? Has this made you feel a lot more confident? Do you like Leeman Baird as the co-founder of Hedera? Do you agree with some of the things that he said here? Or do you not like the stuff that you've heard here? Is there something in particular that you've heard that's maybe put you off? Or do you maybe not like Leeman Baird as the co-founder and don't really have faith in his vision? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.